Hello again. Oh, my hair. So, I've wanted to do this video for a long time. The one reason I didn't is, again, oh dear, you're going to step on a lot of people's toes. Ew. I'm going to step on a lot of people's toes. And it's going to hurt. Like having gout in your toes. You know what that feels like? Oh my God. You stub your toe or anything falls on your toes, big toes, you could scream in pain. In pain. Total pain. Okay. Also, I'm already protecting myself. We had a couple visiting here, and they were Jews. And they practiced still the Old Testament. And I tell you, I will be the first one saying, how do you do that? How is it? How do you this and that? And I don't know how do you I'd like to be a part of that. Just to see. And anytime I have done that with people in the past as well, they become very conservative. That's interesting. Oh, you don't want me to be a part of that because I'm not, how do you say, practicing exclusively your religion? And though they were traveling, right, which when you travel, I guess you're going to have to accept that you're going to have to make amendments, right, to certain things that you do at home, right, and where you have your own environment, this, that. But they were traveling, so I can't remember what the holiday is, but it's a holiday in a Jewish tradition where you don't get in a car, you can't drive yourself, you can't even someone else driving, you have to stay where you're at, and you have to have everything there, and then you do whatever. And they had to do that here in someone else's home. Okay. And I thought, wow, interesting. What if I were to go to their home and say, well, we got Christmas now, so I'm going to celebrate Christmas, and I have to do that in your home. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, they didn't ask if it was okay. You could tell. So there was a certain a time where they had to be back at the house of who they were visiting, and I invited them. I said, "Why don't you stay here?" And then and so they were all interested to see the place here. And suddenly, one of them was marching out. Okay, time to go. It wasn't okay, but whose time frame are you under right now? We're under your time frame, or are you're visiting? So again, wow, very inflexible towards something that you should have just stayed home then, right? All right, just saying. Just saying. Same as with, okay, you have vegans come or vegetarians, and oh, do you have a pan where you didn't cook meat in? Oh yeah, sure, right there. Not saying. Whatever. I mean, it's washed. So what do you, right? What? Really? Or, as I said, what if I were to go to one of their homes saying, well, I got to have meat. You're going to have to cook meat in one of your pans. Are they going to? Okay, what is the give and take here, actually? Where is that? So I'd like to read something here. Jesus is condemned to death. I think that by now, if at a time where Jesus was alive, did his thing, and his teachings, his sacrifice, his love for humanity, his love for God, his Father in heaven, our parent in heaven, our parent in heaven, has survived for over 2,000 years now, then that should give us some kind of an inkling of truth when it comes to who our brother Jesus was and is. People out there still want to deny that, then give me a good reason for your denial. And otherwise, what are you not willing as a people to admit? Even as the descendants, what are you not willing to admit? From that moment, Pilate was anxious to set him free. Oh, okay, so again, Pilate's gone, he's a Roman. He's not part of that whole thing, really, when it comes down to it. They got their own gods. And he got, man, yeah. As I said, if you know the Bible, the stories in the Bible, then you know Pilate was, his wife had a dream, and he listened to his wife. Oh, yeah, okay, good union there, right? I better not. All right, so I'm going to go a little bit ahead of to 19. It's John, the Passion, 19. Pilate then had Jesus taken away and scourged, whatever that means. And after this, the soldiers twisted some thorns into a crown and put it on his head and dressed him in a purple robe. They kept coming up to him and saying, "Hail, King of the Jews," and slapped him in the face. Pilate came outside again and said to them, "Look, I'm going to bring him out to you to let you see that I find no case against him." He found no case against him. He was tortured nonetheless. Jesus then came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. Pilate said, "Here's the man." When they saw him, the chief priests and the guards shouted, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" The chief priests and the guards. Pilate said, "My gosh, what kind of guilt were they under to do that to a 100% innocent man? Except for he was doing what? Threatening their authority before the people. The guards, no doubt, had to be, as soon as they laid a hand on Jesus, were plagued by something, right? Yes? Why would they shout? Hey, they're just doing their job. They're just being paid to be mean and hateful towards a person they don't even know. Why would they shout, "Crucify him"? Interesting, don't you think? So it's not just, we got both sides. People on both sides. Really, chief priests, that's the main people of the Jewish faith. Right? The rabbis, this, that. And then we have the guards on the Roman side. Pilate wasn't, suddenly he was going, but the guards, low life, right? They're just guards. They're just, people just follow a higher authority, right? They were screaming, "Crucify him." Why? Interesting, don't you think? I think that's interesting. Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and crucify him. I find no case against him." The Jews replied, "We have a law, and according to that law, he ought to be put to death because he has claimed to be the Son of God." Jesus never claimed to be the Son of God, by the way. He claimed to be the Son of Man. John the Baptist heard, and supposedly others heard, that while Jesus was baptized, "That is my Son." God proclaimed Jesus was his Son. Jesus never did that. Lies. 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 When Pilate heard them say this, his fears increased. His fears? Why? Re-entering the praetorium, he said to Jesus, "Where do you come from?" But Jesus made no answer. Jesus knew this is a done deal. This isn't unless I strike everybody down and show them the power that I really have, which I will not exercise on humanity, on God's creation, His children. Jesus wasn't going to do that. How did Jesus love God? If anyone taught us to love God regardless, I guess it would be Jesus. There's something that Jesus really restored, right? Yeah. He could have struck down a lot of people, killed them, just like Cain killed his brother. But he wasn't going to do that. He says, "Oh, I'm going to have to let you. Once again, I'm going to have to let you kill me." No choice, really, when it came down to it, when you follow God's laws from heaven. That's what he did. He wouldn't even let his disciples hurt anyone. Yeah? Pretty amazing, don't you think? No, we can't learn from that though, right? Yeah, it's just not convenient, right? As well, we're visiting with people right now. We're going to have to just either we make them a part of it and say, "Oh yeah," or we're going to be, well, no, we have to, even though they're not even in their own home, invading someone else's homes with their beliefs. Okay, just saying. Yes. Pilate then said to him, "Are you refusing to speak to me? Surely you know I have power to release you and have power to crucify you." Jesus replied, "You would have no power over me at all if it had not been given you from above. That is why the man who handed me over to you has the greater guilt." We're given a lot of power in our life, especially when we reach adulthood. What is Jesus just talking to this one person? Why is it in here then? Why has it been written down? You have power. The power is given to you from above. Some people have a lot of power. And you have been given free choice, freedom of will on how to use that power. Right? Yes? That's what Jesus is saying here. He's been tortured. He's got a crown on his head where that's digging into and he still is going, "Hey, I'm not going to take that freedom from you. I will not take the freedom to choose from you. That's not up to me. Because the power that's been given to you to choose isn't me either." He will not go against that. From that moment, Pilate was anxious to set him free. But the Jews shouted, "If you set him free, you are no friend of Caesar's." Whoa, wait a second. What? That's coercion to another religion, isn't it? Oh, interesting. Anyone who makes himself king is defying Caesar. The crown of thorns suddenly is what? Who crowned him? Jesus never said he was king. Why are they not going after the guards who did that? He's there, he's got that on, as if one would take something that has thorns around it that are this long, if you know what they actually put, they're this long, and make one of those wreaths and then stick it like you would do that to yourself, to crown yourself king. But we already know that's not true, according to the story. Who did that? Yet what are they saying? His own people. What are they saying? He's been tortured. He was in prison. He's been tortured. And he crowned himself king. That's what they're saying. They didn't leave anything out to make sure that, even though they, hello? Really? What was the IQ of these high priests? Interesting, don't you think? Huh? We don't think. Really, when it comes down to it, when we read the stories, we just, he suffered, he gave his life. But when it really comes down to it, what was the process of all that? We don't really want to, even to this day, we don't really want to talk about that, do we? Where does the responsibility actually lie when it comes to the death of Jesus? Hearing these words, Pilate had Jesus brought out and seated him on the chair of judgment at a place called the Pavement, in Hebrew, Gabbatha. It was the day of preparation, about the 6th hour. Here's your king. Here's your king. Said who? How did he suddenly become their king? Even in Pilate's, who put that on there? The guards. We just read. It was the guards who did that. The Roman guards. Here's your king. Wait a second. Huh? So Pilate too. Huh? Oh, I got it. I got to get rid. I'm going to blame someone else for whatever is going on here. Right? Said Pilate to the Jews. But they shouted, "Away with him! Away with him! Crucify him!" Pilate said, "Shall I crucify your king?" The chief priests answered, "We have no king except Caesar." So at that, Pilate handed him over to them to be crucified. Let us not forget that at the same time, there was also, we're going to set one person free from prison. It could have been Jesus. But they wanted a criminal freed. One that rebelled against their king, Caesar. Wow. I wasn't there. But when it comes to Jesus' crucifixion and how that went, it seems to be in the Gospels, they seem to be pretty united. So, regardless. Again, the people of Israel haven't restored. There is no restoring going on. And the conflict that they have with neighboring countries shows that clearly. You may think so, but you're not under the umbrella of your God of the Old Testament anymore. And you haven't been in a long, long time. So what am I saying? Oh, so others are better than no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, don't you care at all for your own people? Are you to this day not willing for your ancestors? I know you're just a descendant, yet what are you still practicing? Are you not willing to just say enough is enough? I'm willing to take on the responsibility of my ancestors on what happened 2,000 years ago? And who really put Jesus on the cross? Are you still denying that he is God's son? That you want to be a son and daughter of God? Just asking, not passing judgment, not trying to persecute you, just asking, don't you want peace in your country? Don't you? Are you still shouting death to others? Oh, but, no, I'm asking you. Remember what you guys are all fighting for over there. Both sides. A little strip of something. What does that have to do with God? Huh? People are afraid to say anything, right? Yet, not looking at the whole situation going, hello? Hello? Haven't your people suffered enough? Haven't other people suffered enough? Really? Would it be so difficult to acknowledge that you were wrong? Your ancestors were wrong. That chief priests were wrong. And that the people of Israel at that time killed an innocent man. For what? Let me ask you, for what? Because they didn't want one of their own to be their salvation and king. Because they believed, or they felt it was safer, better to have a Roman king, Caesar. That's what it said right there. Tell me it's not right. I don't. Yeah. Not going to be popular again, right? Yeah. Telling the truth. Yeah. I said I had an interesting little is pursuing age-old, era-old, eon-old traditions of, I know that other religions have, can't even wipe your own butt or something. It's just like, okay, man, where are you people with all this, right? That's what you want to keep adhering to? Really? Okay. You're not willing to teach others in a way, or let them be a part of it because they're not part of your religion. But you're also not willing to give anything up that you full well know this is. We have to acknowledge the part that we played in all this, the part we played in the crucifixion of Jesus. So, Israel, the people of Israel, how much do you love God? Do you love God? Do you? Or what are you actually following still? Just asking. Just asking. Not just asking. Right? think that the people of Israel have given a lot of wonderful things to the world. Stability in some ways, acknowledgement of God in many ways, right? How to break free from certain things you don't want to be a part of anymore, and yet it's not happened all the way. And the Old Testament will tell you that, on how the people of Israel struggled with that. Acknowledging, and Israel could be a start with that, for other nations as well. Every nation, every continent, every state, every country. How about you at the beginning of, okay, we're going to have to acknowledge the sins of our ancestors. And you're going to start atoning for that. Done. I don't know. Will that work? I don't know. Has it been done before? I don't know. Not really. Well, anyway. Yes? A little, yep, again, not. The two thieves on either side of Jesus. The one that acknowledged, the one that didn't. And the answers that Jesus had for them are another clue as well. Right? Yes? We can disregard it. What if we just, because we're too scared to say anything, we're too scared to say, hey, wait a second, let's have a look at this in a little bit of a different way. What actually happened and what needs to be restored? If nobody says anything, you see, you get to go to heaven and say, well, no one told me. Then you're going to go, well, actually, you were told. But were you willing? Were you willing to make a change? Were you willing to try and figure out, okay, we have to take responsibility for our own actions, this, that, and then we're going to have to try and figure out how to make peace with other people. Figure that out. You can figure that out. Please. How about as the people of Israel, with the Old Testament, how about you be the example out there? Instead of to continue the fighting. Right? Yes? No? Just say. You have children, don't you? The other side does too. Yes? Okay. God's love and blessings always, and we'll talk to y'all another time.